You're listening to Optional Opinions, the only podcast by average dudes for average Joes. So quit listening, Bryce.
All right, I'm Brandon.
I'm Kyle.
Also, I'm Davis.
All right, and we're
We watched Birds of Prey.
That movie. So if you're new to this show, we give about 5 to 10 minutes of non-spoiler reviews and tell you if we think you should watch it or not, and then the rest of the show is us spoiling the heck out of it, and then maybe some movie news if we can think of any.
Although sometimes it's not spoiling the heck out of it, and we just
sometimes there's not a lot to spoil, you know.
That is true.
So we might spoil the heck out of it. No promises.
Either way, if you want to go into this movie completely fresh, then don't listen after we say to stop listening. But if you don't care, then yeah, keep listening.
All right. So going in, what were your expectations, and then what did you think, and then your score?
So let's see. Going in, what did I think? I didn't really have many expectations at all. I feel like this was, out of the whole month of February, this is definitely the one I was most excited to see, mainly because this month just sucks with new movies. But yeah, I think Harley Quinn was definitely the best part of Suicide Squad. So, like, I wasn't going in thinking that it was going to be like Suicide Squad, I guess. But yeah, I didn't really have too many expectations, and at the end of the day, I was happy with it. I mean, I think it was a pretty fun movie. I definitely don't think it was like a phenomenal movie. But, you know, if you don't have anything to do on a weekend, you want to see a movie, it's definitely worth watching. So, I'd probably give it like, I don't know, 7 out of 10. So, yeah. Davis?
Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree. I thought it was fine. It was, it was a movie. There wasn't really anything super special about it that I was like, oh man, this is amazing. They do such a good job. I was just like, yeah, this is fine. This, makes sense for what's happening, what's going on. But yeah, it didn't seem all that like special to me. I mean, I agree with Kyle. If you're looking for a movie, if like you're just really in the movie watching mood, you could go see this movie. But if you are busy and you're got other stuff going on, you can miss this movie. It's not super important to your life that you watch this. But yeah, it was fine. And Kyle, did you give it a 7? Because I'm pretty sure I gave it a 7.
Yep.
I'm going to give it a 7.
That's what I'm talking about. In sync.
So, yeah. So I went into this with probably higher expectations than I should have. Like Kyle said, Harley Quinn was definitely the best part of Suicide Squad. And so it had that going for it. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it was at a 91% when I checked it before I saw it. And I sent that to you guys. Yeah, it was a big letdown for me. I did not enjoy it, like, really at all. There was some fun aspects to it, don't get me wrong. But I do not recommend you go see this in theaters. I say wait for it to come out on like a streaming platform. Don't waste your time with this movie. Like, with that said, though, I think my rating isn't too different from you. I gave it a 6.75 out of 10. And for me, if a movie gets that rating, I don't recommend seeing it in theaters. But one thing that I found really odd was when I sent you guys that Rotten Tomatoes score being at a 91%. If you are on Rotten Tomatoes, there's a button that says more info. And so like right now it's sitting at an 82%. But if you look at the average rating, it by clicking more info, it is at a 6.79%.
Huh.
So I don't know.
So
I
I'm
thought
pretty
that
sure the way that Rotten Tomatoes works is when you review a movie on Rotten Tomatoes, you either hit fresh or rotten. Like, I don't think you give it I give it a 71%. Like, I think you just recommend or you don't recommend. I think is how it works.
Okay.
So that's why, like,
I don't know how it works, but I don't understand the difference between an 82% and a 68%. You know, like, I don't know why they're showing these two different things. And
I'm not sure.
I don't necessarily want to spend a lot of time on Rotten Tomatoes. I just was under the impression that the base 82% that I'm seeing is the average score of all critics, but that does not seem to be the case.
So I'm pretty sure, and I could be totally wrong. It's very possible I'm wrong. But yeah, I think it's either you recommend or you don't recommend, which means it's either fresh or rotten. And as far as Rotten Tomato goes, like when the user sees it, a movie is fresh until it drops below 60%. So below 60% is when it hits rotten. So when you say you give it a 6.75, you would give it a fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 60% is when it goes from fresh to rotten.
I feel like there needs to be more variability, but all right, well. Yeah, so I think Rotten Tomatoes skewed my expectations a little bit, and now I know. Won't happen in the future.
I never try to look at a Rotten Tomatoes score before I see the movie. Like, I don't try and look at any reviews before I see a movie.
So yeah,
just so that I don't skew my expectations.
Honestly, the only time I look at reviews, if I look at a review and I see that a movie is getting like super high, especially super high critic score, I'm like, all right, this is going to be weird and super artsy, so just prepare yourself for that.
But that is the critic
because it's never any of the movies. Yeah, there's the critics, well, the audience score. And it's never any of the movies that I walk out of that I'm like, that was really awesome. Like, I laughed so hard and all this stuff. Like, I thought, honestly, I saw Homies with Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly as Sherlock Holmes and Watson. And I thought it was ridiculously stupid, but also really funny. It wasn't as good as it could have been, but it was really funny, and I liked it a lot. And it got like a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah, that's just me. I usually look at ratings because I tend to go the other way.
Yeah, really though.
All right, well, those are our non-spoilery opinions. If you guys have anything else you'd like to say it now or forever hold your peace.
The movie was fine.
And I still think Margot Robbie did a really good job.
I will not disagree with that. She did a great job. I don't think her acting is the problem with this movie. But did she direct it? No, she didn't.
No.
Someone said that they thought that she did, and that is wrong. I'm looking at that now.
I don't
but
think
all right,
she's
spoilers.
ever directed the movie. But.
Wait.
All right, nope.
On IMDb, it got a 6.8.
Yeah.
So there's that. Which IMDb is usually relatively low.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's like right in the middle of all of us.
Yeah, but we're usually higher than... Yeah.
We're usually pretty high compared to IMDb, I feel like. So that feels a little spot on. But all right, spoilers. You guys ready? Have they had enough time? Close now, or press pause if you haven't seen it, or if you don't care, keep listening.
So, if I were to make an analogy to this movie, I feel like they had to have done this on purpose, but I feel like there's so many similarities between this and John Wick. Like, when I was watching it, I was like, you know, if somebody told me this was like a John Wick spinoff, I'd believe them. because there was the
Yeah,
whole
I
thing
never
where
thought about that, but yeah, that kind of
where
fits.
like everyone's trying to kill her, and then they did the whole thing with her dog or the hyena, sorry. And I was like, this is literally like they stole this from John Wick, or like they had to have known that this was such a comparison between John Wick,
yeah. It
which I thought was funny if they did that on purpose.
yeah. I'd say it's a healthy mix. Well, maybe not healthy. It's just a big heaping pot of John Wick and maybe some Deadpool. But I don't think they hit the Deadpool mark very well. I don't know.
Yeah, there were. I think some jokes and stuff came off as, instead of being really funny, sometimes it just kind of came off as annoying or weird, I think.
Agreed.
So I don't have any specific examples, but I think in Deadpool, a lot of it hit. A lot of the jokes hit, at least for me. A lot of the jokes were hit and were pretty funny, and a lot of the jokes, I don't know about a lot of the jokes, but a decent amount of the jokes in Birds of Prey, I was just kind of like, huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, my brain recognized, oh, there's a joke there. and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, there was parts that felt like, because obviously everything that's happening is narrated by Harley, and so like it's one of those things, just like The Gentleman. Oh, you don't know if everything's happening exactly the way she says it is. But at some points it just felt kind of annoying. Like when she's like going through the police station with that rubber gun, or like not the rubber gun, the gun with rubber bullets or whatever, with all the cloud, and it's like
The beanbag,
yeah, and you get through it, and then it's just like, wait, hold up. First, I need to tell you some backstory. And in some ways, I liked that, because I think we've all listened to stories from people who are not good storytellers, and then they'll get like midway through it, and then they'll be like, whoa, 1 second, I need to tell you this, so that way this part makes sense, and then you keep.
That's the only way I tell stories.
And so I liked it that it was realistic in that sense. But I don't think you want a subpar storyteller telling a movie. I don't know.
I didn't have a problem with that part. I thought that worked fine for me. I don't know. I didn't really think about it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I thought it was kind of not necessarily hard to follow, but it's just like we're just getting pulled every which way to tell this pretty straightforward story. I think one of the things that they might have been doing, I think they might have done that just because they wanted to try to make a very simple story kind of complicated and make you have to think about it just a little bit more. Because this is definitely a very plot heavy story, and the plot is just insanely simple, and I don't know. I felt like that was the biggest fault of this movie, to be honest.
Really? I thought this movie
Yeah,
was
I guess
like
that's true.
almost no plot. Like, I didn't think of it as a very plot-heavy movie. I was just like, I don't know.
No,
I thought
let me explain. I don't think it's. I think they're depending on a plot for this to tell this movie, and I don't think
That's
the
not
plot's
there.
there. This is not a character-driven story at all. I don't feel like it's supposed to be a plot-driven story, and it's the simplest plot ever.
I think they tried to make it a character-driven story, like with the introduction of these new superheroes and stuff. And I just like it. I feel like none of the stories were all that compelling to listen to, So I think that's where it failed, is they were trying to introduce all these characters that people could be like, oh, wow, that's awesome. And that never really happened.
Yeah. Yeah, and this definitely isn't a Birds of Prey movie. I feel like everyone's saying it. It's a Harley Quinn movie. So it's a little weird. Like the last 15 minutes is a Birds of Prey movie,
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. So that felt a little weird. I don't know. It's just kind of a mess to me, and it's hard to put my finger on the pulse of what exactly went wrong with this movie.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, usually it seems like when I walk out of a theater and I didn't like a movie, I can be like, yeah, it's because of that and that and that. And I walked out of this movie and I was like, it was fine because it was fine. Like, I don't have a whole lot of specific reasons. I mean, there are problems that I had with the movie. I did think it was, I guess we'll just go into things that we didn't like. I didn't think I thought it was super weird when the songbird lady,
Canary, Black
Black Canary, like at the very end, she they're about to, like, they're closing in on him and everybody's shooting at him and everything, and then she just does this like scream thing and they all fly away, and I was like, okay, that's cool. But also, this entire movie, we've been sticking to like regular physics, not regular, but like, movie physics, I guess. And we haven't introduced, like, nobody has superpowers other than, like, you can't possibly drink as much as Harley Quinn did and not die. But anyway, like, I think that was just super weird for me for them to be like, oh, by the way, superpowers exist. And Harley Quinn kind of looks at the camera and is like, oh wow, I bet you didn't expect that to happen. And I was like, yeah, and I'm kind of mad about it because, like, she had that power, she could have used it a whole bunch of times. The movie.
I disagree with you on that front. I think that part they handled it fine because, like, in the beginning they had her singing, she shatters the glass, and then like the whole scene with the police officer where she's like, we both know that you have the same powers as your mom. So that, like, they alluded to it a few times in the movie. And, like, when that happened, I literally knew it was coming. Like, I was waiting for it to happen because, like, they set it up, like, at multiple points throughout the movie.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I feel like Davis right now. So I agree with Davis that it felt a little clunky, but they definitely did allude to it. I think Davis's problem, and I'm totally speaking for him right now, and my problem with it is that, like, you had this power and you're just now deciding to use it. Why are you exerting, like, all this, like, why are you wasting time, like, beating people up when you could just, like, scream a little bit and then they'd, like, fall down and their ears bleed? Like, I don't know. It just felt kind of forced. And, like, I was kind of, sorry, I want to...
Yeah, go for it.
I want to, like, because when I knew that she had that power as soon as they introduced her, like, just from the comics, and I was, like, really shocked going throughout the entire movie and them not utilizing it at all, especially with this being in the same universe as, like, the Suicide Squad. Like, it's not any secret that there's, like, metahumans or whatever they choose to call them in this universe. Like, I don't know why they just waited till the very end.
So, and this is, again, why I think it worked for me, is because they showed that, like, internal debate with her and how she didn't want to be like her mother because her mother was this superhero who used these superpowers, and it ended up just getting her killed and left her without a mom. And, like, you could tell the whole time that she really did not want to use the powers. And then there's the other aspect to it where if you don't use those powers, like, it showed at the end when she used it, she, like, pretty much passed out. So, like, she obviously isn't, like, might be something where you have to, like, build up those muscles or whatever. And, like, if she doesn't have it built up at all, or she hasn't been practicing using them, like, I don't think she's going to be able to just use it occasionally to throw a guy away, Like, I think they set that up just fine.
But I guess my problem with it is, why doesn't she, like, sure, like, if it's something that she's not practicing and it exerts a lot of her energy to use, but, like, I feel like, why wouldn't you use that ability if you're, like, constantly fighting people? Like, I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me.
I think it was the whole thing with her mom and how she didn't want to be like her mom. And I think it was the whole thing where, you know, she thinks she can live her life and beat up these guys without having to do that. Like, if you go through a traumatic experience like that as a child, it makes sense that you don't want to be like that, or you don't want to use your powers.
I had no idea about any of the comics. Like, when afterwards, I remembered I remembered hearing that this was basically like kind of a female Suicide Squad, but like going into the movie, I wasn't really thinking about that at all, and like I basically completely forgot that there were comics and that these are like actual, you know, characters, and so that for me, like, I wasn't picking up on any of that because I wasn't paying attention, because like I wasn't expecting a superhero or, you know, I wasn't expecting superpowers because I forgot that I was watching a comic book movie. Like, literally a couple times, multiple times actually during the movie, I had to stop myself because things would happen. Like when Harley Quinn was fighting people and she was throwing punches and all that stuff and making these giant dudes like flip in the air and stuff. I was like, that's not real. And then I was like, wait, okay, I'm watching a comic book movie. It's like, of course it's not real. It's never going to be real. Just calm down about it and watch the movie. And I had to do that a couple times for me to just to realize again, like, oh yeah, none of this is supposed to be super realistic. So
yeah, I didn't have that problem as much as you did with like what you said, but the problem I did have with it, and like, yeah, there needs to be some sort of rules that you set up and follow, I feel like, even though it is a comic book movie. And if you're gonna have like these super like powerful female characters that can beat up all these guys, and then some random cop that's drunk can like handle herself against Harley Quinn, that was just totally unbelievable to me, and like really kind of like made me mad watching that. I don't know if you guys felt the same thing about that, but that really pissed me off.
Well, I felt the same thing about the whole thing. So, you know.
Yeah, but like, just like you were saying, like it is a comic, it's based off comic books, and so like there does have to be some sort of suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
But I couldn't suspend my disbelief for that cop. That cop really annoyed the crap out of me the entire movie. I did not like. She just felt like I don't know. I just didn't like her.
It was kind of weird. I feel like she lost her accent a couple times. Like she would.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I maybe it was just, this is just me being nitpicky or something, but I did feel like there were a couple sentences she said or like sometimes where it would really be there and sometimes where it wasn't there as much, and I don't know.
So as far as like, I think the best part of this movie was definitely the interaction between Harley Quinn and the little girl. I feel like,
yeah,
I really enjoyed that part of the movie, and that was the majority of the movie, which is why I came out positive on this movie. But yeah, it was just like the last, half hour when all the like characters got together. Like, I really enjoyed Black Canary as a character before she started interacting with all these girls. I feel like her character completely changed. Like, the writing behind her character completely changed. And she was just like her like humor was totally different, I felt like. And then, oh my gosh, this crossbow killer. It was the most cringy thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, I just could not stand her. It was like,
really, I actually liked that part.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
I could not stand her character.
So
Literally,
that's
like every time she'd speak, I'm just like, just don't open your mouth. You're way cooler when you don't even talk. Like, ugh.
that's actually really interesting because I found myself liking um, her adaptation of the comic book character and not liking Black Mask's adaptation of the character, which is really weird because like the reason I like and the reason I dislike are the same for both of those characters. I felt like they completely changed Black Mask and Huntress, and I thought it was hilarious with Huntress. I was laughing so much with her. But when it came to Black Mask, I felt like they just robbed that character of like any legitimacy, and it kind of annoyed me. But
That's how I felt about Huntress. Like,
that,
oh my gosh.
I guess.
Especially with her backstory, her whole family's murdered in front of her. She's raised by like assassins, and then she comes out like that. No, thank you. Like, that's not plausible. I don't think.
Well, I think that's part of the reason that I liked her is because she's not like super cool assassin lady. Like, she obviously has the skills to back it up, but it just kind of shows you that she has been raised basically in isolation. Like, she's been raised with one goal in mind, and now she's in the world and she doesn't really know how to interact.
She has no interpersonal skills or anything, and
right.
It's just like her entire character is just an assassin, and that's it. And I thought it was great. I loved it.
Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. That was like my for sure download of this movie. Like, I just could not stand any minute that she was on the screen. I was like, oh my gosh.
Which is really weird because I'm usually the one that hates cringe, you know?
Yeah, you are.
Like, you guys have seen me in what was that movie we watched with John Cena and the parents and the prom.
Yeah, I don't remember. Cockblockers. That's what it was.
You guys watched me physically squirm in my seat when
it was.
That cringe is different.
That was
though.
so
like,
funny.
It's a different kind of cringe. Like,
it is a different cringe, but I just think it's funny that I'm normally the one that doesn't like cringe, and I love this, and you hated it. So it's just interesting. Anyways.
Now I'm just thinking of scenes from that movie. I saw that twice that weekend.
Oh my god!
I
hated it.
I saw it with some football friends, and then I was like, "All right, guys, we're gonna watch this movie." And I went again, and I knew all the scenes that were coming up, and I made sure to sit next to Brandon so I could watch his reactions.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
I feel like my reactions were more funny than the actual movie. Don't get me wrong.
I laughed pretty hard at that movie. That's like your perfect, just like college friends go out and watch a dumb movie.
Yeah,
like,
no, don't get me wrong. It was funny. I just can't handle that cringe. Like, it took me forever to like be able to sit down and just enjoy The Office. Like, I've had to build up an immunity to cringe. It's weird. But anyways, I want to talk about Black Mask, and just how this movie just wasted Ewan McGregor. Did you guys feel that way? Like,
not really. I felt like it was good. I do think it was a little weird just because he started. I think it just gave him more depth, and I think honestly that's part of what they were trying to do with this whole movie is keep it lighter, because I think they were trying to keep it a little Deadpool-esque, but I think what makes Deadpool good is that he is taking it light and everybody else around him is very serious about it. What happened in this movie is Harley Quinn's taking it pretty light, and like Huntress is taking it relatively light, and Black Mask, I feel like, starts out pretty serious, and then his character gets lighter and more just kind of weird. So I think that's what happened. Is the whole thing just felt a little off for like what was happening. The jokes weren't like because the jokes weren't landing, it didn't feel. It just felt like there was a lot of cursing and violence, and also they were trying to make you laugh. So
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
Kyle, do you have anything to say before I rip apart Black Mask?
I mean, yeah, I guess I don't really know much about him as far as comic books go. So, like, his character, like, I mean, I thought it worked for the movie. I think Ian McGregor, like, I feel like he showed a good amount of, like, range in this movie. I don't know. Like, I really enjoyed how he was expressing his emotions and stuff. And, like, he's kind of a creepy weirdo. And I think he played it well.
I think, no, I agree. He played what they gave him well, but I don't think it necessarily needed to be Ian McGregor to be able to do that.
I mean, you talk about Ian McGregor like he's in a bunch of really good movies, but like, what has he done that you know besides Obi-Wan? Like, I don't know. I don't know
in Men Who Stare at Goats.
I've never even.
He was in Robots.
Oh, that's a good movie.
That was a good movie.
But like, other than that, like, I'm looking at his
really
movie list, and I like don't even recognize like 90% of these. So,
Oh, he was in Moulin Rouge. Interesting.
He was in Don't Sleep just recently. Was that Doctor Sleep? Doctor Sleep.
Doctor Sleep.
yeah, he was the main.
He was in Christopher Robin. He was in Beauty and the Beast.
I really like Ewan McGregor as an actor. He's one of my favorites, to be honest. And I don't necessarily. I think they wasted him in this. And as far as like Black Mask goes, like Kyle said, I'm not an expert either in the comics origins of Black Mask. I know a little bit. But one of the things they majorly changed, which I don't think, and I tried to look up, I couldn't find any like similarities between this and the comics. It was just how misogynistic he was. And I felt like they just wanted a misogynistic villain for the sake of like a girl power movie. And
yeah, I did feel that too. Like when he, when Harley Quinn like going through people like you reason or grievance is whatever.
Yeah,
and like one of them was like
having a vagina
because she has a vagina,
yeah.
And I was like, I mean, he can be a bad guy without being like that too, but. Also, bad guys are that way, so whatever.
I don't know. It kind of annoyed me, and I can't find any relation to that in the comics. I don't know. It just felt like that there was no motive, and the villains were kind of silly, and there wasn't a lot of complicated or heavy plot that was driving this story from the villain's perspective, and I thought that it was just a waste.
So, I do agree with what you're saying as far as that goes, but also, like, when I'm going to see a movie that's, like, mainly focused around Harley Quinn, I'm kind of expecting a very, like, you know, lighthearted type of movie, like, very little plot, because Harley Quinn is very much so not the one to, like, I don't know, from everything I know about Harley Quinn, you know, she's just kind of really crazy. So that's what I was expecting. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong, but I think you can still have a not necessarily complicated, but like a villain that has some sort of depth other than
right. Yeah, no, I said I agreed with you. I was just not really expecting anything else going into this movie, is what I was trying to say.
Okay. I understand that then.
Do we want to jump into upvotes, downvotes? Do you guys have other topics?
Yeah,
talk about?
we can.
Yeah, upvotes, downvotes.
Upvotes and downvotes. I feel like I need like an intro theme to like play.
Upvotes.
Done.
Did it.
That's perfect.
All right. That's great. We're going to use that every single time. I'm going to add some voice modifiers to make it sound great.
Good.
So my downvote, or I guess my upvote first, Margot Robbie. She did a great job embodying, I feel like, the spirit of Harley Quinn in the comics. I know that's kind of a general liking of this movie, but there wasn't a whole lot that I found appealing about this movie besides her character, which I thought was sad.
So that was enough to give it what did you give it, like a 6.75 or something?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I thought she did a good job. I just don't think the movie around her did a good job. And I feel like you have to have more than just a good main character in order to get a good movie review.
Right. But I'm saying like a 6.75 isn't like out of 10 is not the worst movie review, I guess.
I think I'm very generous with my movie reviews. And there are other things that I like, just not as much as her. Like I thought the colors that they used throughout the movie was very vibrant. Like the whole scene with her going through the police station and all the smoke, and I thought that was really cool.
I thought that was really cool too.
Visually pleasing, but I still think that just her embodiment of Harley, I thought it was pretty good. And then the thing I hated the most, I've already talked about it, is just Black Mask not being an interesting villain at all. So those are mine. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so my upvote's kind of similar. I think I already said it, but really just the interaction between the little girl and Harley Quinn. I thought that was a really good relationship on screen, and like that was just fun to watch and hang out with them as they were doing stuff. Downvote would definitely just be like how all the, like, I appreciate, the female empowerment, whatever, but like if you're going to do it, at least like write it really good, because at the end when all the girls were together and there was just so much that was just so poorly written. Like the action scenes were super cool, but like dialogue and stuff, I just thought was so poor near the end, and it like just totally fell flat. And yeah, the Huntress, whatever, crossbow cringe as I like to call her, just really threw me off.
I have a couple upvotes.
Nope, you get one. You have to pick your favorite.
The more important one is I thought that the Harley Quinn character was interesting because she was doing a lot of stuff that was, crazy and stupid and weird, but also there were moments where she would start to like psychoanalyze people, and I thought it was actually really interesting because she mentions it a couple times. Actually, she's like, I have a PhD. So she obviously is not an idiot. She's just crazy is the main thing. So I really like that. Plus I did think it was cool when I just appreciated when the cop, is her name Reyes? I don't know. When the cop got shot at the end and she was wearing the bulletproof thing, when she got shot, she was still like laying down and it still hurt a lot. And I was like, thank you. Because most movies, if people get shot and they're wearing a bulletproof vest, they're like, I'm fine. But bulletproof vests will still, like, they'll stop a bullet, but you'll break your ribs and have a lot of internal bleeding, and it still sucks to get shot with. There's agreed. That. I say, I don't know, downvote. I don't know if I have a specific thing. I guess a lot of the jokes fell flat, and I do agree with Kyle that that's awesome female empowerment. Like, yeah, do that, but do it well. And I felt a little like towards the end, it felt a little like that scene do you remember in Endgame where it was all the female superheroes were fighting in that trench, and I don't know, like the theater that you were in, but the theater that I was in, they started fighting. People were like, yeah, like literally started cheering, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I thought about it for a second. I was like, that's actually super pandering, for Marvel to be like, all right, we're gonna put all these female superheroes together, and they're gonna fight, and people are gonna cheer because yay, girls. And instead of giving them some kind of like dialogue together, or instead of more character development, it's just girls kicking people's butts, which is that was also cool, but I don't know, it felt a little pandering and weird to me, but that's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, well, I think that about wraps it up for the movie review. we down to start movie news with Kyle's rant about AMC stubs?
Yes.
Can I
Yes,
take a guess
go
as to
for
what
it.
it is? Can I take a guess?
Go for it.
Go ahead.
You might nail
Okay.
it.
I actually don't know. I've never had stubs, so I'm just throwing a shot in the dark. So let me guess. I know you've talked about you having to cancel your AMC membership, and so my guess is that they make it extremely difficult and annoying to cancel, kind of like a gym membership. Am I right?
Yes, nailed it. It is-
Really?
Yes. So this is just like so slimy of business practice. I think Apple does the same thing, and it just bothers me to no end. So literally, like, I have my app, and like, you know, February is coming up. There's literally no movies I want to see in February. And that's aside from this one, which I get billed on the 8th, which is today. So I wanted to cancel it yesterday after I saw the movie, so that I don't have to pay $25 to not see a movie, you know? So anyway,
Wait, yours is $25?
no, it's like 20 something. It's like 22 maybe. And
Yeah, it started out the first year. Mine was $19.95, and then after a year it went up to like $21.95. But anyway, continue.
yeah, so whatever it is, $22, 25, I just rounded up, whatever. But anyway, yeah, so I get on my app and I'm like trying to find out where I can cancel my subscription, and there's a screen that says manage your subscription. So I'm like, well, it makes sense to be there. So I go into that, and it literally just gives me, because with A-List you have like 3 different options. You can see it in just a few states, a few more states, or like basically all the states, because it's probably more expensive in some more states. I don't know how it all works, but there's like a few different prices you can choose from that get you different states. But anyway, yeah, so like it just gave me the option to choose between those 3. There was no canceling. And so looked around for like 5 minutes. Finally, I get online, try to find it, like, because some places you can't cancel it on the app. You have to do it online. Okay, that's fine. Like, so I go online. I look, it's the same thing online. So I literally had to Google how to cancel my AMC A-List subscription because I could not find it anywhere. And then it brings me to this website, and it's like the FAQs, and they're like, okay, you can either submit a question or like talk to somebody here, and they give a link to go, you know, submit something to AMC saying you want to cancel it, or you call a number. And I'm like, that's fine. I'll just call a number. It'll probably be quick. I clicked the number on the screen. It said, this number is not available in your local area. I literally couldn't even call the number.
What?
So now I'm like so ticked. And I was trying to do this before the movie started. I spent like 15 minutes. I was like, frick, I gotta go. So I left, went, saw the movie, came back. And I was going to do it at the AMC, but I couldn't find it. Like, a lot of AMCs have a customer service place. I just couldn't find it in that theater. So I was like, okay, I'll just figure out at home. So I went home. Same thing. So I finally go online. I find a different number to call. I call the number, and then it's like, you know, click here if you'd like to learn more or do something with AMC A-List. So I click there, and it just reads me like a 2-minute thing about A-List and doesn't give me any other options. And it's like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
So finally I go into a different menu option on the phone, and it's like, enter your, you know, stubs number. So I do that. And literally it says, press 1 to manage your subscription or learn more about A-List. And I click 1, and it reads me the same exact 2-minute spiel on what A-List is. Doesn't even give me any option to manage my subscription. So that was a lie right off the bat. And so finally I like go through a couple other menu options, and I finally find the one that's like, it's just a general like managed subscriptions or something. I don't remember what it's called, but I go in there and they're like, you can just type in your mobile number and we'll send you a text on where to go, and it'll be much faster than anything else. So I do that, and they text me, and it just brings me back to something where I have to go talk to some representative on AMC and cancel it. Oh my gosh, I was so annoyed. And I was like, it took me a half hour to cancel my subscription. And I was like, this is the most slimy business practice I've like been a part of. That, and
yeah.
like, Apple does the same thing. I subscribe to their like, you know, 99-cent cloud expansion, like 50 gigs or whatever, but I don't have an iPhone anymore, so I don't need that anymore. So this is the same thing happened. I go on Apple's website, and it gives me some user interface, and it's like, oh, well, to cancel your subscription, you actually have to download the iCloud desktop application. And I download the application, and it is 100% the same exact thing as the online user interface, except one more option to cancel your thing. And I was like, that is just so slimy. It's like they make me download a whole application just to cancel the subscription. So
Yeah, they're just hoping
that's
that
my rant.
it's
Like,
just too much work for you, so you just decided to keep it instead.
yeah, and like AMC also does a thing where if you cancel it, you know, you can't renew it until 6 months or whatever. And I was like, after this, like, I don't know if I'm going back to A-list, because like that was just so slimy.
Ooh.
So we'll see.
Wow.
Yeah,
I think you've just convinced me to continue to use it.
and that's the
until
problem.
I,
Like that's like
have kids.
that's the slimy part of it, is that that's what they're doing, and I feel like that shouldn't be allowed for business practice. And I don't know. I'd like to look into it, but I probably won't end up actually looking into it. So, if there's any lawyers out there?
Movie Pass should have taken some notes on AMC, and maybe they'd still be in business.
Right.
Like, please go to our on-site location in New York in order to cancel your subscription.
Seriously. That's basically like what I felt like I was gonna have to do. I was ready for it to tell me you have to go into a theater to cancel it. Like, I was waiting for it. I was like, because that's honestly the next step.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was so annoyed. I was just ranting to my wife last night about this whole process because I was just so upset about it.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
So that's your AMC A-list rant with Kyle. Hope you all enjoyed.
So watch out if you're looking
right.
to get the AMC stubs. And I was thinking about doing it, but I don't know anymore.
I mean, here's the thing. If you see a bunch of movies a month, it's still worth it. It's just very slimy business practice. So.
Oh, I'm going to rant real quick. So
Go for it.
So I went to see this movie, and I went to a movie theater pub, which I've never been to. I just was like, oh, here's a showtime that I can go to. Click, buy the ticket. I didn't know that there's movie theaters where you just have tables and chairs and you're eating meals while you're watching the movie.
Yeah, dude.
I hated that so much because people are talking, people are munching on food. You have waiters and waitresses coming up asking if you want to order anything or if you're all good, if you need refills. And I'm just like, I'm trying to watch a movie. And it is bothering me so much. And the chairs were not comfy at all. And oh gosh, I will never go back to this theater. I will never.
Yeah, you definitely so
that
counterpoint.
Sounds really cool for a movie that I have seen before.
Yes, and like you're going with a large group of friends.
I see. I think
right.
I think this is the kind of movie that I would want to go see with like that setting, because I knew about those movie theaters. I've never been to one, but like I know they exist. I know what they are. I've never went because I just feel like their food's probably super overpriced. But like, if I'm gonna go see a movie in one of those settings, I'm gonna go see like just some random action movie or some like comedy movie. So like this fits that bill, in my opinion. Like,
I feel like Fast and the Furious. One of the Fast and the Furious movies would be the perfect movie to go see in one of those places.
Yes,
yeah,
I agree. But it also, I feel like you don't want to go see that with like just you and your wife. You want to go with like a bunch of like friends, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Like just a big group of people. Like then I think it's a good environment. But there's just chairs obstructing the screen. There was guys, I don't like it. But anyways, after the movie, we're walking out, and I see someone in front of us point to a poster, and they're pointing to Ian McGregor, and they're just like, "Oh, this guy was so good in the movie. I recognize him, but I have no clue what else he's in." And I like just face palmed, and I'm just like, "What? How do you?" Oh, and I understand not everyone like knows actors, but how do you not recognize Obi-Wan Kenobi? Like I don't know.
I mean, some people are
over.
not diehard Star Wars fans. Like half the people I work with haven't seen Star Wars, so that wouldn't really surprise me that much.
You work with a bunch of engineers. How is that possible?
Yeah, right. You'd think.
What?
You'd think.
I guess we can get into, since we are in movie news, MoviePass are basically the founder of this podcast.
Yeah,
is
pretty much
is no longer in business. I have to credit MoviePass with a lot of my love for the movie theater, because I never really went to the movie theater just because I thought it was just kind of either a waste of money or it's just too expensive. And I would just wait for it on streaming services. But you guys convinced me to get it all the way back in 2016. And
yep.
that set us on a course that has now led to this podcast. So we'll pay our respects. Everyone put F in the chat, and we'll play some music right here. Moment of silence.
Silent, you were laughing. Jeez, disrespectful.
Here, I can make the silence last longer.
I'm kidding.
Just come back. Why is the podcast 2 hours long?
Another thing that has gone with MoviePass is my $10. I invested $10 when their stock plummeted to 10 cents, and I invested $10, and that is gone. So I was hoping at some point MoviePass would die, and then the parent company would like go back up to its normal price, and then maybe I'd get like a couple $100 from that. But no, the whole company's gone.
Yeah, everything is gone.
Everything.
Yeah, they just
I wonder what
were
happened.
not very smart businessmen, so I don't know what to tell you.
I'm
Nothing
excited.
on paper works with MoviePass, but
No, it doesn't. And I've looked up some things about it, and it's really fishy, dude. Like, I'm waiting for like the Netflix special on MoviePass, like they did with the Fire Club.
like Fire Festival.
Did you guys ever watch
yeah.
that? That
I never watched it, but yeah,
it was pretty good. I that's what I'm waiting for. Because like I was looking into some of the things that they were doing. They were like deactivating accounts when like Mission Impossible Fallout came out. Like any active accounts, like you just couldn't use the MoviePass app. But like if you were a not active user, your app was just fine. Fishy things like that, like reactivating deactivated accounts on their subscription-based service plan again. Like there's a lot of like illegal things that this company did, I feel like. And oh man, did you guys ever hear about the MoviePass dog?
no.
They created a mascot. I forget the dog's name, but basically they titled it like the CEO of Barketing. So I want to know the real question is, what happened to the dog? It's probably in a kennel somewhere. This poor dog.
That's true.
She went to the top of the CEO of Barketing all the way down to a kennel. Like this poor dog. Like
Yeah,
talk about a tragic rise and fall story.
I'm sure the dog is fine.
Yeah, I know. It probably one of the owners probably has him.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know if you know much about like how the whole MoviePass thing worked, but basically they just did like the whole $10 a month or whatever it was, or however it ended up being when like we got it, was only supposed to be like a very short promotional period, but then numbers like jumped up so many people subscribed that like the CEO or the people ahead of it were like, we have to keep it like this, so many people are buying it, like we're gonna make so much money. And all of like the accountants and people in there were like, this is not sustainable, like you're literally gonna go bankrupt if you keep doing this. But they're like, did not listen to anyone and kept it at the $10, and that's like
It'll be fine.
yeah, that's like one of the huge
It'll
reasons
work.
they went under, is just because like they're like, oh my gosh, like so many people got it during our promotional period, we have to keep it at this price. And then everyone was like, it's not gonna work, don't do it. And they just didn't listen.
Stop. Yeah.
I got it for, it was like $8, It was $8 a month. I had to pay it all up front, but I paid.
Yeah, we did the
It was
year
like
subscription.
89.95 for a whole year,
Mhm.
and I abused the crap out of that
Oh,
thing.
oh yeah, 100%. I saw multiple
Yeah,
movies, the
yeah.
same movie multiple times. Like
Yeah.
we are definitely
the
part of the reason that is spare.
Oh man,
And
But that's who they
even,
pitched it to. So
right, and well, it's even because we only really used it for maybe 5 or 6 months out of
yeah.
the year.
Mhm.
You know, like
yeah, that's
think of
true.
what would have happened if we were actually able. Because I think by that time, like by the time I was graduating, they were starting to really, or not graduating, but by the time junior year was like ending, they were
Mhm.
really starting to be like, all right, we can't
Yeah.
be doing this anymore, and they started putting a lot of limits on
Yep.
it and blocking stuff.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I think I
So,
had
but
it
there
for
were-
under a year, and I definitely saw over 30 movies with it. So like,
Oh yeah.
absolutely,
you know,
Yep.
even if I had it for a whole year, that times $10 a month, that's what, $120. And if I saw 30 movies, that's like probably over $300. So I definitely saved a lot of money.
Yeah.
yeah. I calculated, I netted like $300
Yeah.
or $350 or something from them.
That's insane.
Because and I spent I think it was like I did a whole project about it in for one of my business classes for like data management or whatever. But I calculated I ended up spending, I think it was like maybe it was like 4 consecutive days or something in a movie theater because of how many movies I watched.
Holy cow. That's awesome.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was great.
But yeah, R.I.P. Movie Pass. I'd like to end this episode by saying our name and answering the question: if you could have any non-conventional pet, what would it be?
Oh, that's easy. My name's Davis, and if I could have any non-conventional pet, I would have a grizzly bear.
I knew it. Actually, I thought it was going to be a polar bear, but I was close. My name is Brandon, and if I could have any non-conventional pet, it would be a Komodo dragon attack pet, like a guard Komodo dragon, whatever, like a guard dog, but it's a Komodo dragon.
All right, my name's Kyle, and if I could have any unconventional pet, probably be a mountain lion.
Ooh,
That'd be so sick.
dang! So much for cats being evil.
I mean, they are, but if it's on
Do you
my
know how
side,
many
we're good.
Things mountain lions kill?
Yeah, but you guys call my cat evil all the time,
'cause it's
and
evil.
it
It
doesn't
is.
kill anything.
Kyle's
Kyle's
what if it
pet,
could?
Kyle's pet would kill everything.
No, I would have
Except
it under control.
Kyle.
It'd be my pet.
It'd be my pet.
So how
yeah,
is-
that's the whole
So
point.
how is that
Obviously, if it's-
different?
I would have,
How is it
I would have
different
a
than
grizzly
my
bear
cat?
friend that I could give hugs.
No, but I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy between Kyle saying that my cat is evil every time I send a photo, and him wanting a mountain lion.
I feel like house cats and mountain
Well, I
lions
think
have
he
to
just
be
he
so
recognizes that cats in general are the spawn of Satan, and therefore, why, like, if you needed an attack animal, why not have a literal demon on your side
different.
to
Boom.
attack people?
Then just get a cat.
No, cats are evil.
Oh my gosh!
You said
All right.
unconventional.
We're ending the episode. We're done.
We have no
Goodbye.
idea. We have no idea what their demeanor is in the household. Okay.
All right. Goodbye, guys.
Peace out.
Goodbye. Ba-doop-a-doop-doop-doop-a-doo-doo-doo-doo. Upvotes.